I call it the Manchester magic. Other people call it different things, but a little bit of Manchester in everybody would make our world a much better place. You know, when you think about a university president, people don't realize we have to make students happy, faculty happy, alumni happy, or the community happy. Oftentimes when we make one decision, like another group is pretty unhappy about it.
What do you think, and not just at Manchester, but overall, what do you think has to change about the way we're providing educational services?
You're listening to the NEI Pioneer Podcast. This podcast is all about sharing the authentic stories of the people in our region. Today, we got to sit down with the president of Manchester University, Stacy Young. She is actually a 1996 Manchester graduate and is in her second year as president of the university. It's obvious how passionate she is about this university as well as the students that attend it. In this episode, she shares her experience as a student at Manchester, her career journey to where she is, as well as what motivates her as president. Manchester is one of the many amazing universities in our region. And if after listening to this podcast you want to learn more, check out manchester.edu. But for now, let's jump into today's episode.
Dr. Stacy Young, welcome.
Thank you.
And okay, you are currently the president of Manchester University.
That's correct.
And how long have you been president there?
About a year and a half.
Okay. I think I met you 6 months into your
That's probably about right.
Yeah. And I remember this woman walked into our office with this huge smile on her face, and I was like, who is that? And they're like, oh, you don't know her yet? And I think Nick introduced us because of that.
Probably.
So I was wondering, usually presidents of universities don't look that happy. Or maybe that's because they were dealing with me when I was in school. I don't know. But the first thing that I wanted to ask you that I just found out today, and I was shocked, was you have a twin sister.
Identical twin
sister named Tracy.
That's right. My parents did not know they were having twins until my mom was in labor.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does Tracy do?
Tracy is an assistant principal at an elementary school.
What?
Yeah. Strangely, our lives are not that different, even
Wait,
though she deals with littles and I deal with adults.
Well, always. So okay, wait a minute. Did your parents have something to do with administration or?
No. Tracy and I were basically first generation students, and we both went to Manchester. We were roommates. And now our babies are at Manchester together, and they're roommates.
Way. No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. See, let me tell you something. In the Sackett household, I would never have roomed with any of my cousins.
Oh, really?
Or
Well, our
relatives.
kids grew up together every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have, I have 3 older stepchildren, but my Allison and Max have cousins that are Will and Meg, and so we have 2 girls. My daughter turns 22 this Friday.
Wow.
And Tracy's daughter's 22, and then our boys are just turning 19 right now.
You can give a shout out to them. I'm sure you won't.
Yeah,
they're gonna watch
they're
this
terrific.
show, right? There
I'm
you go.
sure they're going to watch.
Well, when you gave me the tour of the university, I was like, okay, do you know where your son's dorm is? And you said it's right there.
I know which window it is.
Yeah. You haven't set foot in it, or is that?
I mean, I did. I moved. We moved him in like a normal parent would, and I haven't been back in.
And that was it. Well, wouldn't that be strange to have the president of the university showing up at your dorm?
At your door.
Right?
Yeah, I guess I probably have keys on my keyring I could get in, but I really wanted him to have a normal college experience. I mean, as normal as it could be. He comes down, he has his mail shipped to our house on campus.
Oh,
So,
all right.
so that he doesn't have to go through like the mail system. And, like I was going to lunch with some students yesterday, and there he sat. So I had to go up and give him a hug and kiss and all the things.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, we got there. That's the elephant in the room. Those are out.
Yeah.
Now we can start in on the rest of
Yeah.
it. So, okay, the school itself, I want to make sure that my statistics are correct here. So I've got 70 areas of undergraduate study.
Yeah.
4 master's programs, right? Doctorate in pharmacy. And you got about 1,300 students from 21 states and 9 countries.
I don't think we have that many countries at this moment.
Okay.
Right? After COVID, things got tough having international students.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
and we also have a doctor of physical therapy program.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. when you attended school there, and you'd be happy to know that I will not ask years for anything.
It's been a minute.
So, okay. But my first line of questioning is how much has changed with, particularly with the numbers that I'm talking about here since you attended school there? Because you went there for undergrad and master's, is that right?
No, I just did my undergrad. We didn't have master's programs when I was a student. I mean, we were just starting to have a master of accountancy back then, because that's when the CPA exam required more hours. So we started a master's program. But otherwise, we didn't have any of that. It was pretty much just an undergraduate school. And we had about 1,000 students, I remember, because I worked in admissions all 4 years. So I knew we had about 1,003 students when I was a student there. And that's about the same for undergrad. And then we have our graduate school now. So we get closer to 1,300 now.
And what is the biggest change you've seen from being a student to where you're at now? And then I want to talk about that trajectory.
That's interesting. People ask all the time, what's your biggest surprise? I mean, honestly, one part of, I shouldn't say a surprise, but like just a wonderful thing that's happened is I get to meet a lot of our alumni, and they are doing amazing things. Last year, I did a whole convocation around what our alumni are doing and what they have done, and it's like that student graduated from Manchester back then college, and.
Wow.
In North Manchester, Indiana, and many of our students were first-generation students, and they've gone off to really literally change the world, and all from this little town in the middle of Indiana.
Well, when you're working with alumni, do you work with anybody that you actually attended school with?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there are still faculty at Manchester that I had as a student.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. It's incredible.
Well, it's only been 5 years since you've been gone.
Right,
so,
right.
So
yeah.
There's your compliment for the day. So, okay, and the other question that I had regarding that, so as far as the alumni go, do you what kind of alumni programs do you guys have, or how do you utilize alumni?
Right.
And the reason why I'm asking that is because I was at Minnesota out of high school. And like the alumni programs that we had back then were not very good. Like I don't remember once having alumni come in and speak to us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which is odd. I don't know why that is, but could you talk a little bit about
we have that. We have alumni come back and speak. We have a lot of our alumni are serving on boards for us or advisory boards for us. So they serve in a lot of ways, and alumni love to give back in that way.
Yeah.
We, a couple of weeks ago, someone told me that they had a student that was interested in this one field, and so we connected them with an alumni that's actually doing that job. I mean, we can connect our students with these people who are doing these incredible jobs, and then they can, everybody has a heart for their alma mater, so here they are, and get to work with them and talk with them.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when we're talking statistics, I have some more stuff
Oh,
here.
okay.
So it says here, America's Best Colleges Guide, U.S. News and World Report, which they're ranking everything on colleges all the time. They've got you guys as you're tied for number 1 in Indiana for best undergraduate for teaching.
Yeah, I bet that's true. That is probably true.
Number
We have
10
an amazing
nationally.
education program.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Because you got what did we say? A total of 1,300 students.
Yeah.
Number 10 nationally. Best college ranking 25 consecutive years. So you didn't set that all up. You couldn't have.
I could not have done all that since I've only been. I mean, we have amazing leaders and faculty and staff that have done all of this hard work for many years. I will share, we have some exciting things happening in our education program right now. We're working with Fort Wayne Community Schools to lift up a program. So if they're paras or bus drivers or cafeteria staff want to go back to school, they could do it, because we know these people already love kids, but maybe want to become teachers, and we have a teacher shortage right now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out ways to get them done earlier and faster with their programs, and helping to find some money that will support them to go back to school.
Well, teachers and nursing are the two areas that are hurting the most, is what I.
And we also have a nursing. We have kind of 2 nursing programs. One for traditional age students. You're 18, come out of high school, and then want to become a nurse. And then we have a nursing program for people who graduate from college, or maybe they have some credits towards a degree and they think, I think I'd like to go into nursing. So you can get on a fast track. And so in 16 months, while working, you can get a nursing degree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The NEI Pioneer Podcast seems like the perfect place to plug our Pioneer Awards event. If you don't know, each year we host an awards event to celebrate our region's pioneers. Just like our podcast, this event aims to showcase and share the authentic stories of the people in this region. Now, this is a community-involved event. We had open nominations in the fall, and now we have our category finalists. This spring, we will have community voting, which is where you can get involved to vote on our category winners. Then we'll be followed by the event where we will announce the 2025 Pioneer of the Year. If you're in the Northeast Indiana region, we'll encourage you to go to pioneerstartshere.com to learn more about this event and how you can get involved. Again, that's pioneerstartshere.com. Now, let's get back into the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, I have to tell you, I've been to your campus, or at least one of the campuses, right? But I've been there twice, and I have to tell you, it looks like a mini Harvard.
It's adorable.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And we're small, but I think that's our competitive advantage.
Well, because I walked through that thing, that stone, I wasn't supposed to walk through it or something.
Chime Tower, only if you're a graduate.
Okay, well, you should have told me that before I walked through it.
Okay.
But I don't think I was with you. I think I was with Nick at that point, so Nick should have told me. The last thing, if this is still true, 79% of Manchester graduates who applied to med school.
Yeah, we have a high med school.
How? That's...
I honestly think it's because it is because of our faculty. And, when I was a student, I had a friend who wanted to become a doctor, and all his friends went to IU. And he said, I know I'm going to mess around and not get what I need. Because for med school, you have to take the MCAT, and you take it at the end of your junior year. And he said, I know I'm going to mess around. I'm not going to be able to do that. So he came to Manchester. He's done quite well in his life. And he contributes it because he came to Manchester and was able to have these amazing faculty who, it's very, our average class size is 14-1. So, you're not a number, and you're learning the material really, really well, and you have these opportunities. Like a lot of our biochem, which are pre-med students, go on these, we call them medical practicums in January, where they go to like Guatemala, and they're there for 20 days.
Like
and
practical application of the knowledge?
Yeah.
Because we had a target law program out at the university, so I was in that. Believe it or not.
I believe that.
And
I believe that about you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, because usually people look at me and they go, what? Like, because I'm so odd or something, and maybe it's the glasses. I don't know. But the thing that they did right out there was the LSAT, the law school admission test, is they actually had courses that you get credit for that actually prepare you. Where that's the one thing that I found in thinking back of my college days, a lot of it wasn't preparing me. It was preparing me to prepare. Right. Which is different.
Learning how to learn.
To learn. Yeah. And I think that with the LSAT, for me, it was a walk in the park. Yeah. Because I can read and regurgitate as well as anybody. But what I found is it was boring for me. It was the wrong choice because I have more of a creative mind. And until I took some of those category studies, how does your brain work? Are you systematic? Are you blah, blah? And I found out then, I was like, advertising was, that was a layup, man. Yeah. I thought, okay, this is for me. But I love it, the practical application of it, because, it's funny. I think the national average is under 40% or something like that for people to get placed into med school. And
I also see, our students that end up not going to med school because we have these other healthcare programs that they oftentimes will decide, I think I'd rather be a nurse, or for whatever reason, right? Med school is pretty expensive and takes a long time. We have doctor of physical therapy, those other programs that pharmacy that they might decide to go into that are health related, because oftentimes people have what I call first grade career goals. So they say they want to be what they know, right?
So I want to be a cowboy.
Yeah. I mean, social worker, nurse, doctor, lawyer. I mean, they have what I call first grade career goals, but there's all these other jobs that people don't even know about. Right.
There's subcategories in there and stuff. And even, coming from the ad agencies that I came from, in New York and Chicago and LA and things like that, it was a culture shock for me. Once I got in there, like, oh, this is how this works.
Right.
I had zero practical knowledge of the day-to-day.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you bring this up because this is something that we're changing at Manchester. So we've revamped our curriculum to we dropped our core by just one class. So we still have our core foundation, but we've tied all of the core classes to high demand employee or employer skills that they're asking for. Teamwork, critical thinking, all of the things that these employers say we need our students to have these. So all of our core now aligns with high demand skills. And then because we've made room in the curriculum, we want all of our students to be doing work outside of campus. So or on campus in fields that they might be interested in. So like someone in accounting might choose to go work at our accounting department. So our goal is that every student earns about $7,000 a year working out in the community. If it's a nonprofit.
And they get credit for that too?
They get credits, but the key is when they bring not for the whole time,
right.
But there are internship credits, but they'll bring back that knowledge and it helps them in the classroom, right? So if you understand what's happening at the ad agency and then you come back and study advertising in the classroom, it actually accelerates your knowledge. You move faster through what you're learning. And can you imagine the great conversations that happen with faculty who are talking about something, then a student can raise their hand and say, oh my gosh, I learned that at my experiential learning site today, so they can add to the conversation. The other great thing is when they graduate from Manchester, they'll have this Manchester University diploma, right? But they'll also have this resume with 3 to 5 years of experience on it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And they earned money while they were learning. And we have a huge number of first-gen students who are high need, meaning that they need a lot of money to go to college. So this is a way for them to not have to go into debt. So they get hands-on learning, don't have to go into a lot of debt, and then they graduate with this thing, and it'll help Manchester students stand out even more than they currently do.
You know, I don't know how. Again, I haven't been in school in a while. It's been almost 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years for you.
And it's odd because I think I truly believe. I wish I would have had more practical experience. In fact, I wish some of my professors would have, and I'm not bashing the school by any means. And I think things have evolved in a better way to get people, look, kid, this is what you need to understand about workforce.
Right.
And that changes. And if you look at statistics around that, it used to change every decade. It was a 10-year change. And now things are replicating so fast. And maybe that's a symptom of or a product of COVID. That could be. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I
technology.
think what's happened is that they're, I see it all the time. The companies are expecting you to know certain things before you even get there. You know, you're learning on the job. It used to be a rite of passage. Now it's an expectation.
Well, it's small things. I mean, like if we can have a student who's like maybe they want to be a nurse, and they're doing their like experiential learning on the weekends at a hospital. They understand their culture. They understand vocabulary that are flying about in the hospital. So all of a sudden, when they go to become a nurse at that hospital, and by the way, the local hospitals are telling us they're retained at a higher level after they graduate. So they love if they can have these students become like kind of be student employees doing whatever while they're going to school. I mean, it's paying off for those hospitals, and then they're earning money at the same time.
Yeah. So you've been, for a year and a half, you've been the president there. And before that, you were in the private sector as an accounting?
No, I was a president at another school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually a great story. I mean, probably too long for today, but I
Can you do the Cliff Note?
I'll do the Cliff Notes.
Okay.
I was, so I graduated college. I was an auditor, an internal auditor. I discovered I liked that more than working in a firm. I loved it.
See, you have such a personality that I can't believe you were once an accountant.
Well, so this is what happened.
Not that I'm knocking accountants.
This is the God's honest truth.
Okay.
I was on my internship for Manchester. I thought all accounting majors had to go work at a firm. So they put me in a cubicle for like 15 hours a day doing an internship. Guess what? Between January and April 15th, guess what I was doing? Taxes.
Yeah, of course.
So I was
there anything else?
miserable. I literally called a career service office and I said, at Manchester, I said, I hate this. I'm like whispering from my cubicle, I hate this. And they said, well, there's lots of other jobs in accounting. And I remember saying, there are ? And so I found myself in internal audit. I loved it. I traveled the country. I got to work. I did like some accounting work, but most of my job was out working in the plant with different people. I loved it. But then I started teaching after I got my master's, and I love that too. And so then I got a full-time faculty position, and then I started kind of moving up. And at some point I said,
Wait, the faculty position was at Manchester?
no, it was at a community college. And so I got a full-time faculty position. I started kind of moving up, and then I went back and got my PhD. But along the way, I realized, hey, running a college is really running a business. And all of my degrees are in accounting and business, and then my PhD is in leadership. So I thought, I could probably do this president thing.
You were so naive.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, I got a job at a community college, and I loved it. I was going along my merry way, and someone called. I love the school. I love the community. I love the board. I thought I'm going to be here till I retire. Great. This is going to be great. And then someone said Dr. McFadden was retiring, who's the president. And I said, oh my gosh. And they said, you should apply. And I said, nope, no time for that. And so then it honestly was a God moment. I said, I hadn't really been in contact with Manchester for like 30 years. And I thought, well, if God, if you want me to apply, someone from Manchester has to reach out to me. Because I thought, I haven't talked to anybody really for 30 years.
Yeah, that's your rear view mirror.
I was like, and 2 weeks later, Dave McFadden reached out.
No way.
Yeah, and he wasn't really reaching out.
Did he know you personally?
No, what happened was I had been appointed to a board for the governor in Michigan, and the press release went out, and then that actually put me on the radar.
Yeah.
I found this out later, but put me on the radar at Manchester, and he just called to talk president to president.
Yeah.
And so we had a great conversation. At the end of it, he said, you really need to apply for this job. And I said, I'm not sure about that. So I was like, I still don't have time, because when you put a packet together to become a president, it's kind of time intensive.
So no headhunter, no nothing.
No. So I said a prayer. I'm like, God, if you want me to do this, you have to give me time. There was a blizzard that hit this Christmas, and it allowed me to spend time on putting my packet together. And then after that, so many God moments happened at the end, my husband's like, clearly God wants you at Manchester. And so actually it feels like I have a lot of power, because I know I'm supposed to be there for a higher calling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, see, that wasn't too long.
It's pretty long if I tell you every sign I got, right?
Can you give me one more?
Yeah, we were. There were so many. It was they wanted to do interviews during this 1 week, and I was like, I don't have 1 minute in this week to do an interview. Jobs are kind of. And so when they said, could you do 9:30 on a Tuesday night?
9:30 on a Tuesday night. Okay.
And I was like, actually, I can do 9:30 on a Tuesday night. So, and looking back, that was a terrible slot, right? Everybody's exhausted.
Oh,
People are like, but for some reason, I had an opening at that time. So, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
As we were going over all these statistics and such, the one question that was coming to mind for me was, I'm seeing statistically that college enrollment is down, and it's been down, and it's going down. And I'm interested in your thoughts on that, and yet why you guys are still doing pretty well and placing people.
Yeah, we were up almost 20% in the fall for undergrad.
Is it an attitude shift?
So, we know there's fewer high school graduates than ever before. So that's part of it's called the demographic cliff. That's part of it. People are asking, is college worth it? So those are the things. We had a whole generation of people who went into debt for college. And so they're asking that question, is that part worth it? So we talk a lot about how college is an investment. I grew up, we didn't have a lot. And so for my sister and I to go to college was a pretty big deal.
Tracy?
Tracy.
Who's now my best friend.
Yeah. I just talked to her on my way in.
Did you?
I talked to her 100 times. I shouldn't say 100 times a day, because we both have pretty busy jobs.
I was going to say, she lives with you still? Or?
No, I talked to her from 4 to 5 every morning when we're running on the treadmill to get on the phone. Talk to her. And And then I talked to her when I was driving in, and I'll talk to her usually at night. And then on the weekends, who knows how many times.
Well, okay. So if all of that is down, if the numbers are down and there's less coming out of high school, there's less going into college, there's less graduating in college, I would assume, just because by default. So the question is, what is your answer to that when people say, is it because when I think back to my days, I got to tell you, I was on an athletic scholarship, so I thought I was signing a contract to compete,
Yeah.
and I thought I was signing a 4-year party agreement. Kind of like that's.
Oh, I hope that's not what Max is
Is
thinking.
that no? But I think what happens is people have to understand that you get out of it what you put into it.
That's true. That is very
And
true.
I didn't have people telling me that. I did well because I was serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you combat that attitude?
So I mean, for me, I think that's what Manchester's doing. We're trying to hit the points where we know that people are questioning the values. So what we're doing is trying to figure out ways so that students can earn their way through school, right, and come out with not just that piece of paper, but with this real experience. We're also, the Higher Learning Commission has said that we can offer 90 credit degrees. So I mean, think about our bachelor's degrees were 120 credits, and so now we are, and not for every student, right? Like I think. People like my son need the 4 years so they can play baseball or a sport or be part of theater or whatever, music, but also so that they can grow up a little bit, right? I think that's a big part. It's a huge transition in life. But for maybe a single mom who needs to come in and get a degree done, 90 credits, because that other 30 credits is, if you think about it, like the first 30 credits are like your core. The next 60 credits are really your major.
Yeah.
That last 30 credits are kind of those extra things that give you that, kind of life experience and broaden your horizons. But for a single mom, they may not need that extra 30 credits.
Right.
Jumping in here to shout out one of our podcast sponsors, Sweetwater. Now, just for some reference, without Sweetwater, our podcast would sound something like this. It would also look something like this. Enough of that. Sweetwater is the nation's largest destination for music gear, as well as your one-stop shop for all things podcasting. We personally worked with them to fill out the studio, and I can say from experience, they are the friendliest team to be working with. You can receive personalized gear advice as well as technical support to get your gear up and running. We honestly cannot recommend them enough. So if you're a music person, a content creator, a podcaster, etc., make sure to check them out in the description below.
It's interesting to me when I think back, about, first of all, nobody's ever going to call me and say, hey, you want to be president of a university? That's just never going to happen. But what was it like attitudinally for you to, whether it's at Manchester or before that, now you're in administration at a school that you attended. Is there a certain level of, yeah, I thought this would be this way, or is it all a surprise? And the reason I ask is some of my friends went back and taught at my old high school.
Oh, that would be surreal, yeah.
So they were telling, because some of the teachers were still there.
Yeah.
So they were telling me, they're like, hey, we were right about this or that or whatever. Is there what surprised you? What didn't surprise you?
I mean, there's always when you peek behind the curtain, there's some good and bad. I mean,
yeah, of course.
There's some real, the people at Manchester care so much, and everybody wants to do the right thing for our students. Those things haven't changed, right? When I go talk to alumni, they all talk about the faculty and the staff that there was a facilities guy that influenced the lives of hundreds of kids that worked for him in a super positive way, and I think he was just a good mentor for them, right? When we go out to talk to alumni, that's who they talk about. They don't really talk about the fact that, maybe the dorm room didn't have the right, it wasn't as beautiful as it could have been or whatever. They don't talk about the buildings. They talk about the people. And that hasn't changed, right?
Right.
But it's pretty surreal, and I don't want to screw up, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's part of it. So when I'm really stressed, I say a prayer and this is, I'm supposed to be here. I know I'm supposed to be here.
Then that begs the question, what does success look like for you? Is it just, how are you measuring yourself? Because is it just number of new students, number of retention numbers, or is
Both.
Is there a softer side of success there?
Yeah, I mean, it's, because we're doing things like early college programs. We might have high school students come in, and yes, some of them might, we hope they all come to Manchester, but maybe some of them go into a different school. But our goal is that we think everybody should have at least one class at Manchester, and I call it the Manchester Magic. Other people call it different things, but a little bit of Manchester in everybody would make our world a much better place. And so that's really what we're working towards. So whether it's one class or a degree or a master's degree or a doctoral degree, that everybody gets a little bit of Manchester in them. And, it's such a positive for our community, mean, not just North Manchester, but we're in Fort Wayne as well.
Right.
And we can contribute. We do a lot of service learning, so we get to lift up the whole community that way. So it's really positive.
Okay, so now here comes a tough one. Look at the look I'm getting. Is there anything, and I know you're going to put a positive spin on this, but is there anything that your predecessor had done, implemented, whatever, that you disagreed with?
That would be, I couldn't say, because I think about like at my previous institution. I started that job, and 74 days later, COVID hit. We all have to make, every president's had to make decisions with the knowledge that they have in that moment. And it changes, right? Lots of things can change and move. And, right now we have a lot of things happening with the legislator. I just got off a call on my way in about what's happening with the legislator. And it's just, things are moving. So what do we have to do to prepare ourselves? So I would never pretend to walk in someone else's shoes in that moment, because I just don't know what was happening at that time. Yeah. I know that it's hard. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stakeholders. When you think about a university president, people don't realize we have to make students happy, faculty happy, alumni happy, and oftentimes, or the community happy. Oftentimes when we make one decision, like another group is pretty unhappy about it.
I'm wondering, like, what for you is on the horizon? Are you feeling like a year and a half into this, you're still learning, you're still cleaning? And we say cleaning because Stefan, our CEO here at NEI, he and I had a meeting last week where we both said we feel like we're janitors, because we have something in our heads that we want this to be too. So I'm wondering for you, what stage you're at. Is it still learning? Is it still...
I'm sure I'll learn every single day. I think for us, it's changing how we do business. Because higher ed is changing overall. I just said that to some faculty yesterday.
It has to, though,
right?
It
has to keep up. We weren't, we accept more transfer credits than we ever have before. We've aligned all our programs with Ivy Tech. These are things they hadn't done in the past at Manchester. We're getting into the adult market. That's not a place that we had, but we need more people. We need more people to have that Manchester magic, so that we have graduates all over the country, even more than we do now. So, really, I think we've made a lot of changes in the last year and a half. So now it's all about getting the word out, to just spread the word about shorter bachelor's degrees. Experiential learning, where you can earn while you learn and have this great thing at the end, and all these great things, alignment with the local area schools, so that they can start on the path for Manchester even while still in high school at a discounted rate.
Well, while we're talking about change in academia, I guess, right? Like, what do you think, and not just at Manchester, but overall, what do you think has to change about the way we're providing educational services? And it sounds like a really dry question, but the truth of the matter is the workforce is changing.
Yeah.
Society is changing. It's an ongoing change that maybe, I don't know how remote learning worked for you guys. I don't know how. What is on the horizon for?
Well, I think it's flexibility, right? That different students need different things. So like our MBA program, we have some students like my son who will go right into it so he'll do like a 3+1. He'll do 3 years of his bachelor's degree, and then a 4th year will be his master's. My daughter's in our master's program. She finished a bachelor's degree, but she's in more of a traditional way. And now she's working full time doing her master's degree. So she needs that flexibility. So you might have those same 2 students in a classroom, and they might have completely different needs and wants, right? So there's that piece. I think we're going to have to change some of our other models. We have to, have opportunities for a student to come in and do smaller things. So maybe they do a micro-credential, and then that micro-credential leads to, packaged with a couple other micro-credentials, lead to a certificate. And then that certificate builds into an associate's degree, which leads into a bachelor's degree. So, and I think people will come back in different ways, but they all have to be able to stack together. And depending on where they are in their career, right, I waited 10 years and then went back and got my PhD. But I think that's going to be more of what happens. And we have to figure out a way to get the cost down so that, and I think the things that we're doing at Manchester between the experiential learning, 90 credit degrees, those things will help with that cost. And then aligning with places like Ivy Tech who are doing, free college classes in the high schools. So if we can align with them, we can help students get through faster and for less money.
If you were to have a wish, a pie in the sky goal, wish, whatever you want to call it, and it was going to revolutionize secondary education. What would it be? Do you have a vision that you're trying to work towards? Or and the main reason I'm asking this is because if you walked in to a system, or, at least the destination that had been there for how many years before you took over?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is getting the word out that Manchester is an affordable option for students. We're really good at first-generation students, too. So, and I don't know if you know this stat, but only 53% of high school graduates are going on past high school to do something, whether trade school or college. I mean, in Indiana, we need more students to go. People vote. They're more civically minded. They're healthier. All these great things we need. I mean, not to mention the economic development part of this, where we can attract companies because we have a more skilled workforce, right? So we need that 47% of the students who are not doing something past high school to think about it. But I think I know Manchester is a really good option for many of those students, because we will walk them through how to go to college. Because again, my family didn't know how to do all of that.
No.
And we're really good at walking people through, like, this is your next step. You need to fill out this. You have to do this. And we need to do a better job. We just talked about this in a meeting today, to make sure all of our processes are easy to understand, and we don't create barriers for families that, kind of throw up their hands and say, this is just too hard. Especially because for some people, this is going to feel like a mountain to get into college. But for us, we help first-gen students really, really well, from small towns and big towns alike. But we do a really good job of that. So
I'm sure, at least with our promotional arms, a lot of your students will hopefully be watching and or listening.
Do you think?
I
I hope so.
So
I
do.
So.
I'm confident. What would you say to them if they're listening? What message would you want to convey to them?
I think for our current students is to work hard, be involved. My motto on campus is to lean in. To kind of like you said, college is what you make it.
Yeah.
And I tell them, lean in. Go on that trip with a faculty member. Take advantage of the choir, or going and being part of these other things that you can do. But I would say lean into college, because that is going to make your college experience so much better. And go to the guest speaker, and go rollerblading at midnight. Own all the things you can do as a college student, because it's kind of that one time in your life where you don't have a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
So lean in. That's what I tell everybody.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
The rapid wrap up is rapid, and it's the end.
Okay.
So, favorite campus event or tradition?
I mean, I love graduation. I love graduation.
Okay.
Because it's like all of the work right there. And
that's the finality.
Right. It's the
crescendo,
yes,
I guess. Right?
Yes, it is. And that you change that student's life, but every generation after them. And it's just so impactful as you watch people go across the stage.
And, favorite aspect of your job, is that the same answer?
I love hanging out with students.
Okay.
And I love getting to see our alumni. So those are probably my two favorites. I mean, of course love to chat with faculty and staff and all of those things, but getting to see our students and our alumni just always, it lightens my day.
Okay. And favorite spot on campus?
Oh, gosh, that's hard. So I walk into campus from our house on campus.
It was, that's right.
Yeah, often. And the mall area, when I walk through there, it always is very surreal, because I was a student walking in those same spots. But I just always, as I walk in, I see our chapel, which is just always makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because I was there in the fall.
Yes.
So it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
And if you had someone coming to visit Northeast Indiana, period, where would you take them? Or favorite restaurant?
Oh, so lots of people in North Manchester want to go to Mr. Dave's, because it's like this pork tenderloin sandwich.
Mr. Dave's pork tenderloin. Well, shout out to Mr. Dave.
Yeah,
right?
Lots of people go there. But there's always a line there. So we actually can hardly ever get in. So,
You're the president.
Yeah, it doesn't work
Flex the presidential muscle.
It doesn't work like that. But there's a sandwich cellar that looks exactly the same as when I was a student. And the timeout, and it's in the basement. We
Is it
go
the same
there.
person?
I don't know if it's the same family that runs it, but it hasn't changed one bit. I think the same bit. I mean,
Okay.
I want to say they have a Pac-Man machine in like their little arcade area. It hasn't changed a bit, which
If it was
always,
Frogger, you would have had me.
yeah,
but okay.
and they might have that. I don't know, but it makes my heart happy when I walk in because it looks just the same as it did many, many moons ago when I was a student.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Dr. Stacy Young and her sister Tracy, shout out.
Shout out to the twin.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you for having
really,
me.
I got to tell you, congratulations on all the success.
Thank you
like,
very
I
much.
can't-
It's an exciting time.
It is,
Yeah.
and the last thing that I would say is beautiful campus, lots to do, and you're expanding.
Yes.
So
that's
what more?
right.
What more could you ask?
Yeah,
for?
great things happening at Manchester.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.